Listen, I don't even have a podcast. I don't know where this content is going, but I thought we need to get together and we need to talk about what happened yesterday. Because in my mind, this is the craziest, yesterday was the craziest day in NBA history. And let's center the conversation around the NBA because we are not medical experts, so we can't have any takes on what's happening, around the virus.
Yeah.
But specifically on the NBA, the economics of the NBA, I want to get your take. Yesterday, and let me give you my first reaction. I don't know where you were around 7 o'clock. I think we were in the same group thread where there's a whole bunch of things that happened.
Yeah.
I think it was Rudy.
Rudy was first.
Rudy was first.
Yeah.
Then the NBA got suspended.
They stopped the game from tipping off.
Oh yeah, that's right. They stopped the
OKC
game. Okay,
game.
that was the first thing. I saw that. They stopped the game, OKC versus the Jazz.
I don't know if you saw the video. The medical team, one of their guys from OKC came running out to the refs, and they were interviewing. They were doing the pregame, not interview, but the guy who works for OKC, just doing his pregame thing, and you could see this gentleman just come shooting by to talk to the refs. And there's all this commotion, and of course Chris Paul's in the middle of it, and he's trying to figure out what's going on, and he's asking what happened to Rudy Gobert. And then within, 15 minutes, they made an announcement that the game had been canceled.
It's unbelievable. So that happened first.
Yeah.
Then the Rudy thing came out that he has corona.
Yep.
And then I don't know if they called it. I don't know if they suspended it first or then Rudy. And then randomly Tom Hanks got corona.
Yeah, that was insane.
And then I just added. That was literally in the span of 30 minutes.
Yep.
And this morning, and I just want to give context to people. We're shooting this at about 3 p.m. Eastern time. On Thursday, and since then, a whole bunch of things have happened in Canada. The Trudeau has been quarantined. His wife has been quarantined.
Yeah, Jagmeet Singh was sick, but then said that he's
sick.
fine.
We don't know what's going on with them. We don't know if they're confirmed or not, or whatnot. Donovan Mitchell got it as well.
Yeah.
None of the other Jazz players or staff got it, but
5 NBA teams are quarantined. Don't forget, all 5 of the opponents for the Jazz.
Right.
So one of them, for us, would be the Toronto Raptors. They're 14-day self-quarantined at their house, but no one has been confirmed yet. As of right now, we don't know what's going to happen.
So can we just say that this is the craziest thing that has ever happened to the NBA in history? I'm thinking back to when games were canceled, or maybe even Magic Johnson's HIV scare,
it's different, really right? Because Magic Johnson's HIV scare was world news, but it was world news for the NBA. This is world news affecting the NBA. It's two different things, right? And also social media just expedites it on a totally different level. So that's where I think I agree with you. This is the most, and I would have said 2 months ago in my lifetime, the most insane thing to happen was Kobe's death.
100%.
Seeing the ramifications on the whole league, and then something else.
So when all this happened, and this is 7:30 Mountain Time, what is going through your mind?
Well, I actually was at a NHL hockey game with my fiance, so the first thing that went through my mind was, this is the last game I'm going to be going to maybe this year.
This is the last NHL game. And by the way, the NHL
today,
postponed.
Yeah, so I was certain, and I turned to her, and I was depressed because anyone that knows me knows, I live and die by my sports, right? So I immediately was like, this is way more serious. And the other reaction I had was, they would do anything and everything in their power to not postpone games, not eliminate that kind of revenue. So that told me the severity of the situation more than almost anything else.
Yeah.
And not saying that this is the most important thing, but in America, money trumps all, pun intended.
So your immediate reaction was, this is the last game that I'm going to be seeing in the NHL
for a long time.
And you were definitely right. And then what about from an NBA perspective? Because you're massive. There's nobody that's a bigger fan than the NBA than you.
I'll tell you the selfish thoughts that went through my mind. One is this was my LeBron redemption season. I'm a huge LeBron guy, so seeing him maybe lose the opportunity for that championship. 2, he's not getting any younger. This might have been his last chance.
Absolutely.
And then,
it still could be his last chance.
But for the championship, I don't know if we're going to get playoffs, right? If you see what's happening in Italy, this is no joke.
Yeah.
And then the third thing was, if there are playoffs but there's no crowds, there goes the LA home advantage that I thought the Lakers had this entire time, right?
So
7 home games if they played the Clippers.
Now, this was my immediate reaction when I saw all of this. I turned to my wife and I said, this is crazy. Like, you know, obviously I'm not in the NBA. I don't know anybody in the NBA. But I turned to my wife and I said, because just from a personal context, yesterday was a pretty crazy day. The World Health Organization declared it a pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, as you know, I speak a lot at events and conferences. So yesterday, like, a whole bunch of conferences got postponed or canceled and whatnot. So like I was just like dealing with emails and travel all day because like I was supposed to go to Scottsdale on Sunday. I was supposed to go to Santa Clara where, you know, the Warriors. Anyway, so in my life, there was a lot of like, you know, changes that are, so, you know, I was talking to my wife about this. And then when all this stuff happened with the NBA, I turned to my wife and I said, wait till tomorrow morning, because the panic and the paranoia and the fear will just be exponential. Because here's the thing with the NBA. The NBA is one of the most powerful cultural movements and forces in our society today. The NBA shapes conversations, it shapes culture, it shapes fashion, it shapes so many things. And so this happening, you know, the NBA getting suspended, having a figure like Rudy Gobert, who is one of the best players in the NBA.
He's an all-star perennial.
Right? And for them to, you know, now we put a face to it, because before then, there was no faces to it.
Yeah.
Right? Then you put Rudy, and then you put Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
But, you know, just the panic that people had, that people would have this morning around it, would just be exponential. And I'm starting to see it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I don't think there's, you know, we live in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Personally, I think, you know, there's a lot of paranoia. There's a lot of fear. Obviously, we have to be cautious. This is why we haven't shook hands. In fact, you know, we haven't touched at all today.
Yeah, I actually was going to ask if I could move the seat a little further, but I didn't want to bring it up in front of.
But you know, it was a pretty crazy day. And I want to get your take on where do you think the season is going to go after this? Like, do you think we're done?
I am more leaning towards I think that they're not going to play again until next year. Or not next year, next season,
so
until October.
You think the season's going to get canceled?
Yeah, I'm really hoping I'm wrong. But just watching the trends in Europe and seeing the scale in which it's affected them, I really am concerned for the season because of how close we are to the playoffs, where I don't think they're going to do shortened playoffs. I don't think they're going to entertain that idea.
Well, if you look in China, for example, you know, they stopped their league, but now I think they're coming back and they're going to be playing. So if you know, if this thing is contained, then, you know, we can certainly go back. But, you know, you've had this amazing season. There's so many storylines. You know, to finish it out would probably make sense. Wouldn't they delay it maybe until the summer? Let's say
that's the
July
one thing.
Or August.
If they did that, then I think they would come up with, that was the other alternative I thought of. If they postponed it enough to a point where they felt comfortable, maybe shorten next season by having a start date in November. So you still get the allotted rest that is the amount that the players bargain for in the CBA, but you still get this playoffs, and then you go into the next year knowing at the beginning that you have less of a window, so every game matters slightly more. That's another option.
So we chatted before about LeBron.
Yeah.
And obviously you're a big LeBron fan. LeBron was having a career year. You know, a lot of people talking about, you know, potentially, you know, sneaking up to Giannis to actually get the MVP.
Yeah.
So what was going through your mind as the season got suspended around the impact on LeBron? Because LeBron has been the focus in the entire year, not only because he's had this resurgence, not only because of Kobe, but just because he's leading the.
I mean, he's the focus every year. I mean,
he's the focus every year.
Nothing changes, right? The MVP for me, to be honest, I kind of like. It's not that I don't care, but it's very secondary to me in my importance level for LeBron's legacy. I think the difference between 4 and 5 MVPs isn't that large, but I think the difference between 3 and 4 championships, if he was to get a 4th the way he would here, which is 17th season, 3rd team, best player, that
it would
type
put
of
him in
thing.
the GOAT. He would be the GOAT.
That I personally think he is already, right. But I know I'm in the minority. But I guess what I'm saying is I don't think anyone's mind could be changed on a 5th MVP but you might be able to if he was able to come out of the West, which was a criticism his whole career, that he was playing in the least, right? But
now here's my hot take around this: is that I do believe that the NBA is going to come back. I think we will be able to contain this, and we're going to be able to get back people, the games back, and then this is actually going to favor LeBron because he's going to have more time to rest. He's played. He hasn't time managed. He hasn't had any time management or
load management.
Load management.
Yeah.
Time management. It's like I'm like in business terms. He hasn't had any load management.
Yeah.
Giannis obviously has been doing a little bit more. He's been playing less minutes than LeBron.
Yeah.
So, coming into the playoffs, this might help LeBron.
Well, the one thing I liked that the Lakers were doing, which this isn't my take, this is actually Nick Wright, and I didn't think of it, but was going for that number 1 seed would almost create load management in the first round if they had played an 82-game season, where they would get to play a team like Memphis, whereas you might have to play a Dallas or, Utah, Houston, one of those teams that you would not want to play in the first round. That would be a little bit more of a grind, right? But now, if they were to start the playoffs and have the number 1 seed, it would really set him up to be able to go as hard as he possibly could for that next 3 series. Because I don't think Memphis is taking more than a game off of the Lakers.
So you don't think it would help anyways?
I think no. I'm saying this might even give him more of a boost because I think that's what their strategy was. We're going to get that number 1 seed. We're going to be gelling as a team.
So you think LeBron planted Corona?
No, I don't want to say planted, but no, definitely not. I'm not putting that out there. But I think they had a plan, and it was the complete opposite of the Clippers' plan. And I think both of them might have worked. I don't know which one was better.
Okay, so listen, when I invited you here a couple days ago, we were going to talk, because I talk about innovation and disruption, and we were actually going to talk about the Rockets and their small ball movement. And I don't think that
small potatoes.
I don't think that pales in comparison to what we should be talking about.
Yeah.
But in the light of the coronavirus, the suspension, doesn't this give more ability for James Harden to, because the knock on James Harden has always been that he never shows up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he shows tired. He shows up tired. He shows up, he doesn't look well. And I think this might be amazing for James Harden because he's going to have a little bit of rest.
Yeah.
He's going to come into the season, the playoffs, and he just might go ham.
I'm not a big fan of Houston basketball in general, but I kind of want to dispel the narrative on the Rockets the last couple of years. No team pushed the Warriors at full strength the way the Rockets did. They had them 3-2 healthy.
Agreed.
And the Warriors are missing Iguodala, Crimea River. You have 4 All-Stars on your team starting. So I just don't think Harden gets the props he deserves for those performances when they're up 3-2 against what I consider to be the greatest basketball team I've ever seen.
But everybody says that Harden always chokes.
But did he in the last year you could say they choked. They had an opportunity, no KD, to win. But does he always choke? Are they ever the best team in your eyes? Like, what is a choke? That's what I don't understand in sports.
They were the best team in the West last year, right?
Well, if you take Durant off the Warriors, are you counting regular season?
I'm saying from a season.
But is a record the best team?
No, of course.
Yeah, that's of course. All I'm saying is, yes, Harden has a lot of baggage with previous playoff failures. I just think the narrative when he plays the Warriors is not a fair one. Okay. That's all. I think that it's not easy to be that ball dominant and have to take on the Monstars and win 4 out of 7 games. You know what I mean? And he did. He won 3 out of 7.
So do you think that this helps James Harden?
Yeah, I think you.
Or would it help a team like the 76ers?
I think it helps an older team like the Lakers more than it helps a team like.
Right.
I think the Rockets are built now to help James Harden off the ball more, with Russell Westbrook being able to handle the ball and to be the de facto scorer in small ball. So I think James Harden help came in the form of changing their offense. I'm not sure this break is going to change that much for him. That wouldn't give a guy wouldn't you rather not have a break if LeBron's 35 for Harden than giving LeBron this type of break?
Right.
I'm not sure the help for Harden is near the level of someone like LeBron.
Okay. Well, listen, I wanted to bring up the Rockets because that was the original conversation.
What do you think? Do you think it's better for them?
I think absolutely. I think
versus
Harden,
the other teams.
I think Harden and Westbrook both are guys that are not old, slightly older. They've had a lot of wear and tear.
Highest usage rates.
High usage rates. Harden always seems to fall asleep in some games, and maybe he doesn't have the fitness level as others. I don't know, but it seems to me that sometimes in the playoffs he looks tired.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm actually really bullish on the Rockets. I mean, we'll see whether if the season actually happens.
Yeah.
But I'm still bullish on the Rockets. I think everybody dismisses them, and this is the whole reason why I wanted to invite you, talk to you about the small ball and what they've done, which they've taken every single innovation, the three, spacing the game out, having no big man. Like, I really think that this is where the world is going, and nobody is paying attention to it. And
I don't agree. I'll tell you why.
Well, of course you don't agree. 9 out of 10 people will not agree.
No. I don't think, I'm not anti-small ball. I'll tell you why I don't think it's going to work for them this year. I think that a player like Anthony Davis would destroy the Rockets because now the Lakers finally have convinced him. It took literally until game 65 to convince him that their death lineup has Anthony Davis at the 5, and he can guard the perimeter. It's not an issue for him to guard the perimeter.
Right.
He's not a 5 liability like a lot of these other teams have. So if you saw the other day against the Clippers, he played the 5 to end the game, and then against Giannis, he played the 5. I just think that there's nothing they can do if Anthony Davis is agreeing to play the 5. He didn't want to all year. I don't know what changed. I'm proud of him. I'm so happy he's doing it, but how are they beating the Lakers if AD's at the 5? They can't spread the floor the way they want. They don't have a liability in the middle anymore. The Lakers' wing D is just unbelievable, and I think they're not shooting him out of this series.
Well, that one. I mean, at the end of the day, like Harden is almost unguardable, right?
Yeah, he's going to get his points, but Westbrook's not going to the lane against the Lakers like he is against all these other teams.
So that's something that we have to see. I haven't seen this iteration of the Rockets versus the Lakers and see how they do.
Did you see the Rockets' last 4 games?
No, the Rockets obviously they haven't done well in the last couple of games, but we'll see. Listen, I want to get back. We only have a couple minutes, so I want to get back to the coronavirus here. One of the things that I think this is probably the most important piece when it comes to the coronavirus and the NBA, is that getting back to this idea that the NBA is this cultural force and that it dictates a ton of conversation. You saw when Kobe died, like it not only was a conversation in every media, news article, dinner table conversation, but it really impacted people. And so this season getting suspended, having some really prominent players, getting coronavirus, we don't know how many other people are going to get this. I saw the Raptors, they played the Jazz the other day, and they were in, heated matchup, so, we'll see what happens with that. But just to reflect on how China and the NBA and how all this has sort of collided this year.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Right? The first thing that came out was Daryl Morey and his tweet. A bit of an innocuous tweet about what was happening in Hong Kong. Obviously, China pulled basically all the rights of Houston games, and Houston is the most popular team in China because of Yao Ming. And that decreased the salary cap. I don't know by how much Adam Silver said.
God, I can't remember either. You put me on the spot.
So you have this this massive event that's happening around China. The first time around. We can talk, Kobe, obviously.
I mean, the LeBron remarks, that was a talking point for like 10 days. His comments on China. I remember that was a huge thing before the season started.
Totally.
And
he was able to repair that. It's
LeBron. He has enough fans that it'll fix itself, but usually the people like Skip Bayless will jump on those types of moments.
And the second thing is what happened with coronavirus. So. That's also impacting the economic state of the NBA. So you have 2 incidents that are literally going to drive down the salary cap for the NBA, and both of them are related to China.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Isn't this unbelievable?
It's unreal. But this is what, if you think about it, this is the reverse of what they wanted, right? They wanted to grow the game, and I mean, NHL just bringing it back is trying to do that too with China. That was a big talking point the last few years. They want to grow the game in China. They want China to impact the game in a positive financial way. Yes, this is a reverse of it, but it is showing the effect of China on the NBA. Now, in the future, it might work exponentially the other way, but yeah, I mean, this is what they wanted, right? You got to take the good with the bad. China effect on the NBA is super real. And
Absolutely.
it's going to be impactful for the next couple of years here to see what happens.
Okay, so just to end it off, I want your hot takes on where you think the NBA is going to be going over the next...
Before that, though, I wanted to ask you one thing. Did you see how Devin Booker found out about the season being canceled?
I saw that. He was
that
on
wasn't
Twitch.
that unbelievable that he's streaming on Twitch? Just the intertwining of the NBA with the youth movement, and it was just unreal that this superstar is streaming on Twitch, and that's how he finds out.
That is the most 2020 thing that I've ever seen.
It was unreal. I had to bring it up.
Devin Booker was on Twitch and
he couldn't believe it. You could literally see his jaw drop. Like he was like, you had no words like I have right now.
But I was really interested to know, like, why didn't he stop? He kept on going. He kept on going.
If he was playing a team game, he can't. You're right. You can't do that.
He was like, hey, somebody comes to you and says, hey, man, yeah, you're not going to be working for the next, like, maybe the entire year. Like, wouldn't you stop and be like, whoa, let me call somebody. Like, let me call my family, my agent, nothing. Like, no, he continues playing.
He's dedicated to the Twitch. I mean,
I love those moments when people find out about something. Like, that's why when Mark Cuban got
his like jaw,
his reaction finding out, and I love those, and that's why I love, like, this is why I've been, I don't know about you, but I've been, like, last night and today, like many people, we've been just like, every moment, like, there's a new piece of news.
Last night I was refreshing Twitter over and over and over. I was just living on Twitter yesterday. But I think right now, what I'm more concerned about than anything, and
I want I want 2 hot takes, 3 hot takes.
Well, okay, so biggest concern moving forward for me is if this lasts for a long time, I don't know what I'm going to do with my spare time. I don't watch TV anymore other than sports, so I'm really concerned about having to spend time with my family. So that's number one. But hot takes NBA-wise, I think the more I think about it, if they do come back, this is a major boost to the Lakers' championship hopes if there's a crowd. If there isn't, I'm legitimately concerned for the Clippers to beat them.
Okay,
and it's the first time all year I've said that.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. I think there is a slight blessing in disguise in all this. I know the coronavirus has been on everybody's minds. I think this happening to Rudy, and the NBA getting suspended is probably something that we needed in terms of people recognizing that this thing is real.
Yeah.
It impacts everybody. But at the same time, I'm so fearful because the NBA is such a cultural force that it's going to elevate and escalate the paranoia and fear. And it's wild. Like today, even on like the group chat, I have people texting and saying, "Oh, I got to stock up over the next 14 days." Things are getting serious. I'm like, where are things getting serious? Like here in Emmett, like where are things getting serious?
Yeah.
But so it's like, are there thousands of people getting coronavirus? No, like it's not exponential yet. So, but people's fears have been now exponential.
But couldn't that maybe end up being a good thing in the sense of people who weren't careful before might be overly careful? And I'm sure everyone's seen the chart, right? The curve where if you get to a certain point, then it's okay if you have lots of cases as long as it's spread out over time. I actually kind of don't mind that.
Let's make out later and then let's jump into
I kind of like
and then
I like seeing all these people who didn't get
everyone is going to get it. That's what everyone's saying, or they should get it because we don't know what's going to happen. Now we're talking about like we're medical.
I know of all the people in my family, you brought me on to speak about the coronavirus.
Well, I talk about the NBA, but you're right, and I think at least what we've seen with statistics is that, folks of our age and our demographic and our sort of health backgrounds, I don't know all your health backgrounds, have been relatively safe.
Yeah.
And we have to worry about our parents and our grandparents.
Let's also, let's worry for Tom Hanks as well, obviously.
Absolutely.
He's an American legend. And
what's funny? We were talking about this the other day with some of my friends around, if somebody died, this was around the Kobe, and this is like the most morbid conversation that you would ever have, but who is the most, if somebody died in a helicopter crash, who would the world be like the most shook about, right? Wow. And I said Barack.
That's the first name that came to my head right now.
I said Barack or The Rock. Now, somebody said Tom Hanks. I can't remember who it was, but Tom Tom Hanks is like the most loved guy.
Yeah,
which he is.
Yeah,
there's definitely. So we're praying. For Tom
Yeah,
Hanks. I don't know who you would think.
I think like Barack Obama would probably be the one.
Yeah.
I think, but Tom Hanks, you know what's weird is he's got favorable numbers on both sides of the aisle. You know what I mean? Like right and left, there's not a lot of people that have something bad to say about Tom Hanks.
That's right. That's true. That is true.
I guess Shah Rukh Khan for the Indians. That would be his impact globally.
Well, listen, this was a lot of fun. I don't know where this is going, but I just felt like everybody needed to hear some hot takes from normal people that follow the NBA that are sort of seeing.
Let's actually do this every day until it's back because I need something. I need my fix, and I'm not sure how else I'm gonna get it.
Okay.
So
well, listen, this was a lot of fun.
All right, thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me.
We're not gonna touch hands or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing, man. Thank you, man.
No, it's so much fun. I love doing this stuff.
That's awesome. Take a seat here.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get.
That was 26 minutes.
Wow, that went by so fast.